You ready to rough and roll this podcast, Rafael?
Ready.
Rafael? Are you ready to roll the podcast, Rafael? Rafael? Are you there? He's like, I don't know what he's doing. I'll just play the intro.
I'm not going to say anything.
When the kids go to sleep.
What are you doing?
Yeah! Welcome to the podcast.
I'm sorry. Shay, you're
When the
you're
kids
dropping.
go to
Look
sleep.
at stop.
At Maker Studios in sunny southern Los Angeles.
I have no control. I'm sorry.
Welcome to the podcast.
I'm sorry. Stop it.
This is what I do for a living.
This is not. You're in your job description, sir. Can you please refrain from touching the co-host?
Welcome to the podcast.
Oh, you're gonna break the table. Shay, water and electronics and broken things are happening right now in the studio, everybody.
I to get a little aggressive. Fix
Rob,
it.
You might
Fix
have to come in here and smack him around a little bit. Okay,
All
hold on.
right. I'm sorry.
Fixing my mic. Are we good?
It's fun. It's
fell.
fun to
It
be
fell.
crazy.
So you made it fall. Okay,
Roth's
we're
going to
good.
have to come in here and adjust it now.
Because you're a stinker.
Is it crazy?
No, it's fine, Roth. She'll just have to speak up a little bit.
I can speak up, Shay Cara.
Welcome to the... What is this, Blake? 118? 118 at right here. You guys, listen. We appreciate you watching this podcast. The views, me and Blake were just talking. Blake just said, have you seen the views on the When the Kids Go to... Yes! Thank you for thumbsing up. Last podcast, because I was like, you guys, thumbs up this video. We're not going to continue till you thumbs up. It got like 40,000 thumbs up. 40,000! That's
So
a lot of
crazy.
thumbs.
That's a
Imagine
lot
if
of
you had
thumbs.
all those thumbs
Thumbs
in a
up.
jar.
That's not even counting thumbs.
Think if you had 40,000 thumbs in like a waterbed. What if you had a big waterbed of 40,000
What?
thumbs? I don't know.
Ew.
I used to have a waterbed when I was a kid. Anybody else have a waterbed?
No, I always wanted one, but that was just not.
You had a
something that I
waterbed,
got.
Blake? You still do.
Blake has a waterbed.
For sexy time with Blake. You really do, like, last night you slept on a waterbed? Are you serious? Dude, I think I loved my waterbed. I'm sure it was like a fad, but I wonder, like, as far as like orthopedics, like for your back, have you really? Dude, that's interesting. I loved waterbeds. It would lull me to sleep. Like when I would be laying there, I would remember kind of like using my foot to like have it like the waves. It's very comfortable. But sometimes like they can get so hot, and then.
Yeah.
But see, I used to have a wetting the bed problem. I really did. I've wet the bed like have we talked about this on the podcast?
We've talked about it. Mhm.
I've wet the bed 4 or 5 times since we've been married. That's not funny, Blake. It's an issue I'm working through. Laughing at my bedwetting problem.
I'm laughing at the-
Dude, I used to be
his
so
laugh.
embarrassed until I just owned it.
Just
Sometimes
gotta
I wet
own
the
it.
bed.
Sometimes you just gotta own when you wet the bed.
When's the last time I wet the
don't-
bed? Dude, the first time, I should just talk about
I
the
don't
first
remember
time I
ever
wet the
wetting the bed.
bed when we were married. I remember waking up and thinking, holy S-H-I-T word, I just wet the bed. And I am a married man. And thinking like, how am I going to hide it? How am I going to hide it from you? Like what did I do? I think I like went and got some towels.
I feel sad that we're talking about this.
Don't feel sad. I'm proud of it.
Oh, you wet the bed. Why do you think that is? Do you think because
I'm raising my
you're a
mic.
really deep sleeper?
Dude, I'm out sometimes,
And
and I
so
have
is
crazy
Suntard.
dreams. Dude, I had a dream I murdered somebody in my dream the other night. How crazy is that? Does that mean I'm a bad person?
I think that we cannot you can't judge who you are as a person by your dreams because dreams can be crazy.
But see, it started out like I was in war, so it was like I was a murderer. It was like me and some dudes, and all of a sudden these guys were attacking us, and then I had to kill this guy that was attacking me, and I was stabbing him with a knife. Like it was a serrated blade. This is crazy.
I don't think they need to know.
No, I
any
shouldn't
more
be telling
details.
that. And then in the dream, I was hiding the body, and then I was like going around with my shirt
Why
like
are you
this.
hiding the body?
Because if you kill somebody, you gotta hide the body.
No,
duh.
you don't. You just fess up to it. Just like
No.
wetting the bed, you own up to it.
No, listen, That's interesting to think about. No, what I told Colette about this, because I woke up from that dream. You know when you wake up from dreams like that and you're like, what the heck? And I felt guilty. And it was one of those dreams that was like an all night long dream, like where I woke up, thought like, what a crazy dream, went back to sleep, and then the dream continued. Where I was like, in my dream, I'm like, man, I will never be able to say that I didn't murder anybody because I killed somebody. So for the rest of my life, I'll never be able to not say that I killed somebody. It felt so real. It was crazy. So that I asked on Twitter for people to give us podcast topics. Andy Pandy, who's one of my favorite comedians on the internet. Follow him at Mr._Andrew Hunt. He's funny. He has some funny tweets. He tweeted me, possible podcast topic. If you time traveled to the future and saw that you were in prison, what would you assume your crime was? I went on a bedwetting spree.
The first thing I thought of is killing somebody in self-defense or in defense of my children.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Because I would never, like, steal something or... But if somebody tried to hurt my family, I might go crazy. Watch out.
Yeah. I've thought about that because there was a show. I saw a movie once where a guy, his house got broken into and he was chasing the guy out of the house and he like shot him and the guy died. But the guy was off of his property where he died. And so the guy ended up getting like 20 years in prison.
Oh, what?
Yeah. It was and I think that really happens. I've always wanted to rob a bank. So I think if I saw that I was in prison, it was probably robbing a bank. Not for the money, just for the joy of it. Not the joy of it. Just the sheer pleasure I would receive. No, the adrenaline rush of robbing a bank. You know what I mean? Like
an adrenaline junkie.
If everybody got like one pass, like one crime, what would it be?
I don't want to
submit that in the comments below, and we'll use that as evidence in future cases.
I'm like, I don't think that I ever have aspired to commit a crime.
But I'm just saying,
something I'd want to do.
What if for one day, God's judgments didn't exist, laws didn't exist, and you could just do whatever you wanted with no repercussions, no consequences at all, and they would never follow you? It would be just a blank day. You could do whatever you wanted. What would you do?
I don't know.
What would you do?
I don't think I would want to because it's already ingrained in my brain. Like, this is bad.
You would, like, eat 2 pounds of chocolate instead of 1 pound.
That's not against the law anyway. I could do that anyway.
That's scary to think about because
are we taking into consideration the laws of nature and what would happen in my body if I ate that much?
No. Yeah, you could just, it's like a free day. Like, you could eat 100 pounds of arsenic and you wouldn't die. Because I know you've been craving that arsenic. Mm-hmm. That could be scary. If you go into your mind like, man, what would I do? It's like you could do a lot of bad things.
Let's not do that exercise. I don't think it's healthy. Okay.
Somebody asks talk about being a business owner. Here's an interesting thing about being a business owner and / working for somebody else. There are good and bad things about both. And this is one thing that I learned over the last couple of years. And one thing that was very hard for me is you have to be self-motivated. You have to be a self-starter to own your own business. For instance, when I started my very first business, it was a granite countertop business. And it was with a guy who he was in my church with me. And he did cabinets. And I'd been wanting to start my own granite countertop business, and I had done like a few side jobs. I remember the very first granite countertop job that I did that was just my job, and I asked my boss, I said, hey, I got this job up in Bear Lake. It was in Bear Lake, and at the time we were so busy at the granite shop that I worked at that we couldn't take on this job. It was like we were slammed with jobs. And I told my boss, I said, hey, I met this guy who wants a granite job done. And he's like, oh, we can't do it. We're too busy. And I said, what if I did it on my own and I came in after hours? Like, because I would get off work at 5. I said, what if I came in after 5 and then I paid you to use the shop and use the tools, and then I just did it on my own time? Like, I would go install it on the weekend and I'd come and I'd fabricate it after hours. And he's like, okay, because I think he saw like a chance to make a little extra money when everything was shut down. So I remember I drove out to Bear Lake. It's like a 2.5-hour drive. I templated it and I did all the stuff. I was already working 50, 60 hours a week at my normal job. And then I would get off at 5 And then I was like, all of a sudden I was doing my own job. And I remember being there all by myself at the granite shop till like midnight and just polishing granite. And so I was working from 6 in the morning to like 12 at night. I'm working like 18 hours a day. But like the second that I clocked out at my job and I started like doing this, I was like, I was like a whole nother boost of energy. I'm like, this is my job, because I knew how much more money I was gonna make. I still paid like my boss to use the shop and use the tools and stuff, but still the margin of my profit from doing my own job was huge. I think I made like $3,000 on that job, and that would have been like almost a month's worth of work. Right. And I'm like, I'm making $3,000 off of this one job that's going to take me like 2 weeks.
And it was a really great way for you to transition to doing your own thing. It gave you confidence, don't you think?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I'm like, I can do this. Like I can do my own granite jobs. Like, and I can start my own business. And so then when we started our own business, this guy, his name was Andy, great dude. I love him still today. He did the cabinets and I did the granite. And I remember we used to play a lot of Halo. Because we would go over to his house and be like, okay, we got to work on this job. And he's like, oh, I got this new Halo game. And we'd sit there and play the sniper level.
You didn't have a boss that was like,
exactly.
Blah, blah, blah.
We would play, I would get there at 9 in the morning and we would play Halo until like 11:30.
Like, so babe,
and his wife would come out.
Get done today?
His wife would come out in the garage and I would be like, felt so guilty because, you know, they're struggling to make ends meet. They had 3 kids. We had 3 kids. And I'd be like, oh, dude, your wife's going to is she mad at us? He's like, no, she's fine. I'm like, you know, like it's like a mom or like a boss coming in. I'm like, is she mad that we're playing Halo? And she'd just come in. She's like, are you guys going to get that job done? I'm like, yeah, hold on. We're just going to play one more game. And we'd joke about it. But then I'd be like, we got to freaking do this job. And it would be tough to like get stuff done because you didn't have anybody there. Like, if you don't do this and you're fired, it was like on our own time. And so even as, you know, I did granite and, you know, we got those jobs done and, you know, they're not as fast as, you know, you would have done them if you had a boss. But then when we started doing YouTube, it was
you could have taken those 3 hours.
I could have gotten a lot more done. Yeah. So owning your own business is good in the fact that you can make more money and that you're free to do it on your own. But if you're not motivated, the business will fail. Like you have to work your butt off to make a business work. The other crappy part about owning your own business is you never clock out. When you have a job and you clock out at 5 p.m. and you go home, you're off work and you're not thinking about all the crap that you have to deal with at work. When you clock out at 5 for the weekend, it's like the weekend. And then that Monday you clock back in, it's like your soul goes back into like your boss's world. But when you own your own business, you never clock out. You're thinking about it all the time. You're laying in bed on a Saturday night at 11 o'clock and you should be enjoying yourself. You're like, I gotta do this, and then this thing, I gotta do this email. And it's like, you never clock out of your job. I feel like I am working constantly.
All the time. The other thing I've noticed with owning your own business
That's like when we start the podcast, I love this. This is like the fun part of my job. That's why I get crazy. Because it's like, it's exciting.
I don't have to answer emails right now.
Interacting and like, this is my favorite part of, you know, doing what we do. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, collective eye roll, Shay. Oh, you have such a hard job. Yeah, we have a dream life. We have a dream job. But it's still a lot of work. Like, we put in time. Like, it's
a lot of time.
Meetings and emails and editing and importing and traveling. And there's a lot of stuff that goes in to being a full-time YouTuber. I would not trade it for anything, mind you. I love what we do. But it is a lot of hard work. And it's been a lot of hard work for the last 5 years, day in and day out, to do this.
The other thing I've noticed about having your own business
talk now.
Is stop.
I like touching you. You're so soft.
Can you just shut up so I can say what I want to say for 5 seconds?
See what I have to deal with, you guys?
5 seconds. Count them. Ready?
Okay, go.
And now it's my turn.
1.
For reals, though, Shay, you can appreciate this.
I appreciate everything.
With your own business, you have to know, you have to be aware of your finances, your accounting. You have to know, you know, even if you hire an accountant, you have to know everything that's going on with your books. And that's a hard thing.
Yeah, that's tough. Colette does that for me.
You know, making sure you have all the insurances, the licenses, all the legalities, the tax stuff. Like, that stuff is a pain in the butt to me.
It can be intimidating.
But you have to, you know, push yourself into that and make sure you know everything. Otherwise, you could be losing money or, not doing something that you should be doing, so you end up paying more money to the government or whatever,
You have to do your due diligence. Like, you have to know, like, I remember when for instance, going back to my Granite business, when you're in the construction industry and you, like, there's this, my name of my business was Wtkgts, and then it was licensed, bonded, and insured. There's those 3 little words that would always come after, like, when you put your, like an advertisement, it's like, we're licensed, bonded, and insured. It's like, what does that mean? Licensed, bonded, and insured. I'm like, I had no idea, but I knew that all good, like, businesses had that after that. So I'm like, I got to find out how to get licensed, bonded, and insured. Like, I don't know what any of that means, but I want to be able to say that about my business.
I have to have that.
So that when people are, like, considering hiring me, they're like, well, he's licensed, bonded, and insured. He must know what he's doing. But I'm like, I don't know what that means. Like, what forms do I fill out? What fees do I pay? And so you guys really should, if you're thinking about starting your own business, look to your local community, because I know that in our community, when I started my business, there was this free class, like how to start your own business. It was a free class, and then I went, and me and my buddy Andy, we pulled ourselves away from Halo for a few minutes. We went to this class, and we learned how to become licensed, bonded, and insured. And that was like the coolest thing. When I got my own cards, it said, yeah, am I licensed, bonded, insured? Heck yeah, I am. Check it out. I took a class. It's right here. So taxes are huge. Becoming an LLC, like, you need to have all that structure, and you have to do that due diligence. I suck at that. I hate red tape. I hate details. I'm just like, let's go. I'm like, let's just do it. Why do we have to all do all this stupid crap? It's boring. I don't like it. That's where my lovely lady comes in. And Dave Ramsey talks about, like, in relationships, there's usually, like, a free spirit and a nerd, somebody who's like, we have to do this, we have to cross our T's and dot our I's. And then there's the other person that's like, I want to change the world. Don't get those forms out of my face. They're infringing on my dream.
And sometimes you can have a little bit of both, but sometimes people are more inclined to do one or the other. And I'm more the nerd. Like, I love to have things organized and know all the paperwork and the books, which is a pain and it's hard, but you kind of have to do that.
No,
you might have problems.
I haven't done I used to do our taxes. I'd do TurboTax, and I would the reason I loved TurboTax is because as you're filling it out, they'll show you your refund. And I loved seeing that number, and, like, I would just go in and change things until that number got as big as possible.
Legally.
Kinda. Yes, of course, legally.
I would just go and, like, mess with it.
I would be like, what if I clicked on this, and I would click on something, and it would make our refund go down. I'd be like, nope, unclick that, unclick that. That was not a good button to click on. Half the time, I'm like, what does all this mean? It's like, put a 1 if you this, see that. It's like, so I have not done our taxes you've done them in the last 3 years, 4 years?
Well, we finally have help with it now.
And listen to this. Side note, piss me off, the government of the United States of America. Please don't hurt me. I hate them.
What? Where's
government,
this going? Wait, stop.
She's like, has to approve this. No, about the $8,000 the other day.
So, well, there was a mix-up.
We paid our taxes. We paid a huge freaking chunk of taxes. And they're estimated amounts, because when you own your own business, like, you don't, and especially with what we do, like, technically everything that we film is tax deductible. Like, this shirt is wardrobe, like, I need this shirt to do my job because I can't be naked on YouTube because terms of policy say no nudity. So I have to buy this sweet Volcom shirt. That's a tax deduction.
We're able to deduct a lot of things, but there was just a mix up with, the business and the personal and all that stuff. Anyways,
we ended up $8,000 more dollars.
Some that we needed to pay, and they were sending us notifications, but it was to an old address.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yes.
So they did send us notifications.
So they did send us notifications for a while, and we had an old address that it was going to that wasn't being forwarded.
Okay.
So
see, I'm not as mad now. I thought they just took it out without even asking us to pay it.
No, they can't do that. They do have to send notifications.
Long story short, they just went into our checking account and took $8,000. The government just went into our checking account and said, "We'll take that. Thank you very much." We'll take that. Like the other day, I'm like I was on my phone on the mobile banking. I'm like, honey, did you just spend $8,000?
I'm like, no.
And I'm like, what the heck? The government
you don't think I would?
They just come in and just take the money. I was like, they can do that? They can just take our money? Mm-hmm. And they just took our money.
Yep.
But I didn't know that they were sending us.
I was very angry at first, but then after I found the right number to call and figured it out, they had been sending us notifications. It was a mix-up with the business taxes, blah, blah, blah. We got to figure
taxes.
it out.
Okay, so here's the next
just
question.
so you know, they will just take it.
I like this question. What technological advances can you expect to see in the next 20 years? Now, we've had a podcast about this, but this is an exciting topic to me. You need to see the movie Transcendent Man. There's a futurist by the name of Ray Kurzweil. This dude is a genius and a little crazy at the same time. But genius is usually mixed in with crazy. So here's the concept. Technology is on an exponential growth path. It is not linear. Like normally something that's linearly. Okay, here's a linear graph. Things grow slowly over time. An exponential graph is like this. It's like a curve. It's like an arch, like where it's like slowly and then it explodes.
So it's not like a steady growth.
It's not like it's like
compounds.
And right now in 2014, we are in the elbow of that exponential curve where it's like it's gone up, and we are right at the point where it's about to shoot through the roof, which seems hard to imagine because there's so many technological advancements that we enjoy in our life right now that it's hard to imagine what else are they going to come up with. And that's where it gets exciting.
But back in, 10 or even 15 years ago, we wouldn't have seen an iPhone in our minds. So like that is
here's the question you have to ask yourself. Think about this for a second. What could I tell you right now on this 116th episode of the WTKGTS podcast would blow your mind? If I said in the future, in 2044, we'll be able to do this. And if I told you that, you would be like, no. What? Are you serious? We're really going to be able to do that? What would that be for you? Like if I told you like teleporting, for instance. Teleporting is just something that's in movies. But what if we could teleport to our house?
Hovercraft.
Hovercraft doesn't seem too far off to me.
It does to me.
I feel like that's not something that I'd be like, what?
Like on Back to the Future when their roadways are actually in the sky.
Yeah.
Type thing.
I feel like I can imagine that. So go back 200 years from now. Imagine, and I've given this example before, imagine the pioneers as they're trekking across the West. They have their hand carts or they're in their wagons with their oxen and they're getting dysentery and they're shooting rabbits on the plains. Imagine pulling up. I think about this all the time. I hope that when we die, we get to like do cool things like this. I don't know how it will work. Time travel or whatever. I want to pull up to Brigham Young and the Mormon saints who are like trekking across the West to go to Utah. I want to pull up in my Toyota Tundra, blasting some Mormon Tabernacle choir and like, hey, hop in. Get in my truck.
With a cooler with some ice cold water and
some beer. Oh wait, no, they don't drink
watermelon.
Beer. And then they get in the truck and I can turn on the heater and then there's like a TV and it's like that would be magic to them. They can get in this soft, comfortable thing, sit down, I can turn up the heater, they can listen to music, and we're going to drive at 80 miles an hour across the plains instead of the 7 miles an hour that you were doing, or probably even less. That would blow their minds. So what for you right now in 2014 that I could tell you or pull up to you in
would blow your mind.
And think about this. NASA 30 years ago, this is within my lifetime, or even 40 years ago, the biggest, best, most powerful computer in the world filled up a room this size and cost hundreds of millions of dollars. Today, 40 years later, this computer is way more powerful than anything that the NASA government had. And it's fraction of the price. That's another thing that Ray Kurzweil talks about, is that the size of computers and the costs of them are shrinking. And that in this exponential growth, in 20 years from now, computers will be way more powerful than this, and they'll be the size of a blood cell, and you will inject them into your bodies.
Creepy.
And then death eventually will become an elective procedure where you can live forever if you want to. Because they'll be able to print off a new liver,
blows my mind.
Or a new eyeball, or a new heart. Imagine that.
And the little computers that are in your blood cells will be able to detect any
sickness. It's
any
like
sickness.
There will never be like, oh, we found the cancer too late. You only have 2 weeks to live. It's like the second that a cancerous cell begins, it'll be like you need to have 6 cups of blackberry juice, and it'll kill that. It'll give you a diagnosis and how to cure it. Antioxidants, bro. They kill everything.
They kill everything.
I don't know. Antioxidants. They kill all the oxidants. I don't know what that crap does, but I mean, imagine that where you get an email. It's like, "Good morning, Mr. Butler. We have detected a slight cancerous cell in your left lymph node."
That could also be horrible for all the hypochondriacs.
Well, but if they say it's like, "Our diagnosis is drink," seriously, I feel like that's like, do this, and it'll be fine. And then like there'll be an update the next day. Congratulations, you have killed that one cancerous cell because of you drank 6 glasses of grapefruit juice. I mean, that's going to happen. And it's like, we'll be a lot healthier. And it seems a little crazy. We're like, we're going to have computers in our body, but it's not that crazy.
It seems really crazy because is everybody going to be down for that?
No. And I think that's what's going to be the next world war.
Yeah.
I think it'll cause a war. I think there will be a major conflict because of this, the way that people want to choose to use technology in their lives.
Because of the exponential growth of it.
Yeah.
It will be hard to accept or
think of telepathy,
embrace.
Where it's like, the idea that I can think a thought and send it to your brain. I love your brain.
That happens all the time.
Right? It's in movies and stuff. What are you doing in a text message? We can sit here, not even look at each other, and I can form a thought, do a little thing with my thumbs. Think about thumbs. Think how more important thumbs are now.
The problem with text messages is feeling gets lost.
Right. Well, it's just beginning.
Context
it's just the rudimentary beginnings of telepathy, where I can have an idea, send, not even look at you. You can be across the world, and I'm sending messages in my mind to your mind, and you just have to read them off the screen. If we have computers in our brain and we inject these computers, I'll be able to think thoughts. The computers will be able to take those brainwaves and send them over to your brain via wireless.
I feel like it will get out of control. Like the computers in our bodies will control us.
The problem, I mean, then you have that whole artificial intelligence debate. But I feel like the controversy will come in how people will use that technology. People will use it to brainwash people, to control, because with everything like technology, there's good and bad to it.
I just hit that moment where I was like, okay, this is crazy. Let's change the subject.
Really? Is it making you uncomfortable?
Like, okay, that's crazy.
So just think about that. It's,
Yeah,
I really
think about for sure.
And I was talking to my kids about that. I really feel like that's going to be one of the next big conflicts that we have in our world.
Technology.
As far as like people disagreeing and just a giant, I mean, it's scary. It's like the movies, you know what I mean? And I think it's 20 or 30 years away. Like it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Little by little. That's why like,
be prepared.
Yeah. I want to move to the country. If YouTube didn't exist, how would you live your life? What would you do? I don't know, Nicole. I don't want to think about that. I do not want to think about that.
We are not on that path.
When will you start running again? Oh, that's a very good question. That's a very good question. Mickey, are you calling me fat? I need to.
His knees are bothering him.
My knees hurt. I want to get my knees replaced. I want some carbon fiber knees.
Right now?
Dude, if my
your knees aren't bad enough to get them replaced. You probably just need
rub them. That feels good.
Take some more glucosamine or something.
I've been taking glucosamine.
I don't know.
All right, let's take one last question, and then we're going to wrap on this podcast. You guys, we are working on getting them all on iTunes so that you can listen to them on iTunes as well as watching them on YouTube. Here's a good question. Why do people feel the need to keep up with the Joneses, and is that a good thing? Talk about that, babe.
It's not a good
thing. And then the last one, what is the meaning of life to you? Okay, 2 things.
We can get those in like 5 minutes. Sure. Okay, the meaning of life.
The meaning of life is simple. The meaning of life, the purpose of life, the secret to life, the meaning, purpose, and secret of life is to be happy. Mm-hmm. And that's it.
But how do you do that? Like, not everybody knows.
You have to figure that out. But that's the purpose. Like, what? Right? Like, the purpose is to be happy, to find joy, This is something that I've been thinking about lately. And
what was the question?
The question is keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
I feel like I've luckily never had that temptation.
That feeling
like, oh man, did you see so and so got the new Jordans or so and so's driving this new car? I've never really had a jealousy like that. I mean, I definitely have other problems and other things I need to work on.
Yeah, you do.
But
seriously,
being jealous of like things that other people have has never been a problem for me. Like anytime somebody gets something like that, I find it easy for me to be like, oh, good for them. Like, I'm glad that they got that.
Yeah,
but I know that some people are just like, oh.
It's debilitating when you.
Oh, it's the worst.
When you get into that life mindset, like I have to do this, I have to keep up with this. Oh no, did you see the new car that they have across the street? We need to get a better one.
Why?
Like, that's just
I don't.
horrible. Ugh.
It's hard for me to relate
Shake
to
it
that
off.
because I've never felt that way before. And then I think another very dangerous thing that young couples do that have just gotten married is to try to live like their parents live.
Right.
To like, oh, we need to buy a house. We need to get a car like this. When your parents have worked all their life to get the things that they have, you know, and then these new couples, like immediately they get, you know, don't borrow money, man. That's like, if that is, I think, the beginning step to us becoming where we are at today is getting out of debt. Cutting up our credit cards. You can do anything in this world with a debit card. Ron, the other day, his car broke down and he wanted to rent a car and he's like, well, I can't, you know, don't you need a credit card for that? I'm like, no, dude, you can use a debit card.
Yes.
I've traveled all over the world. I've rented hotel rooms, rented cars. I've done all kinds of business everywhere. You can name it. We've done it with the debit card.
Yeah.
I would
Which
say
makes more sense. It's like that's
it's
actually
real
your
money.
money.
It's real money. Here's my
It's
real
not-
money. Do you want some real money that you
weird.
can use? I would say that is the first step to us becoming successful is cutting up our credit cards, getting out of debt.
And you can't let yourself get in that mindset of trying to keep up with somebody because you'll never, ever be happy. You'll never, ever be happy. I promise.
It's a never-ending cycle.
It is.
You'll always be searching for that next thing that you'll never get.
And if you feel like you're in that, if you feel like you have friends that you feel pressure to keep up with or friends that, you know, kind of are in that mindset, like just get rid of them. Like you don't need that. Just shake it off. It's like poison.
Material things that don't matter.
It doesn't matter. It will never. It will ruin your life if you let it engulf your thoughts.
So we don't need to buy you a new van then?
Yes, I need a new van. But it's not so I can keep up with the Joneses. It's so that our 2002, now that it's breaking down, will not leave us
Is it
stranded.
2002?
Yes.
That's a 12-year-old van.
It's a 2002.
We've had that for over 5 years.
We've had it for a very long time.
We've
and
put
it's
some
done
miles on that
great.
baby.
It's starting to have a few problems.
You've wrecked it a number of times.
I have wrecked it a number of times. I will be honest.
All right, well,
It's
thank
to the
you.
point where I'm like, it's just another bump.
No, dude, that's why I hate having new cars because it stresses me out. I would much rather drive that van around than a brand new one because I'm like, I can't park there. It's going to scratch.
I really just want to get something that's newer but used.
Right.
That will last us another long time.
We're going to pay cash for whatever we buy next, but we will not buy a brand new car because it depreciates, you know, by thousands of dollars the second you drive it off the lot. We will find a 1-year-old car to pay cash for.
Yeah.
So we'll probably find like a 2013 van for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. You guys, seriously? I mean, seriously, bro? Muy mucho gracias for watching the podcast and thumbsing it up.
Yeah.
We seriously
Thank you.
appreciate it, you guys. We hope we helped change your life and motivate you to like make some real positive
And
changes.
like, come back because we'll give you some more positive
We're going to do
info.
another one, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to go pee and then we're going to do another one right now. Check it out. Okay.